In the grim darkness of the far future on the Hive world Atoma Prime, in the Morbian domain, chaos consumes all. In the Hive city known as HIVE TERTIUM, the sinister Nurglish chaos cult, the Abomination, unleashes a nightmarish zombie plague that spawns an ever-growing horde of POX walkers. The Morbian 6th Regiment of the Astra Militarum, heroes who once stood tall on the front lines of the Fringe War, were ordered to return and contain the chaos infestation, but amidst the horror their resolve wavered and they turned traitor, joining the ranks of the cultists in their dark crusade. But amidst the shadows of despair, a glimmer of hope remains. The people of HIVE TERTIUM rally together to face the impending doom. As the planet quakes under the corrupting touch of Nurgle, the Imperial launches a desperate evacuation effort. The last stand has been called. Every soldier, civilian and refugee must fight together or fall to the relentless tides of chaos. The defenders of humanity barricade themselves within the crumbling Hive city, determined to hold the line against the POX walker horde. As the evacuation ships take off one by one, the brave few men remain behind, sacrificing their lives to buy precious time for their brethren to escape. Witness the valiant struggle as the forces of chaos and the last defenders clash in a harrowing battle. Brothers turn against brothers and heroes emerge in the face of annihilation. Like, subscribe and rally to the call of humanity's last stand in the face of eternal darkness. For in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Before we do kick off today's slaughter, let's have a quick look at the tactical overlay. We can see here that the defenders have got about 30,000 conscripts, about 25,000 Morbian stormtroops, about 300 Lehman Russ battle tanks, around about 200 autocannons, and about 300 Black Templars. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen, kicking off today's fight. 4 million POX walkers have surrounded HIVE TERTIUM and are now making their way right towards the Imperial lines, storming down the main thoroughfare as millions and millions of zombies. Oh my god, look at that. The unending swarm of POX walkers here. Basically, this is the be-all and end-all for the Imperium here. They need to hold out at this position at all costs, and already we can see the poor Imperial conscripts are bearing the brunt of the first charge as the POX walkers come swarming in here, their claws gnashing at the Imperial flak armor, their last guns here ready and resolute, holding back the endless swarm that currently surrounds them. 4,000 of the POX walkers have already been cut down where they stand. This battle is going to be going on across the entire city, with the poor old Imperial Guard basically flanked from every available position. This fight's going to go into alleyways, onto the streets, maybe even on top of buildings here and there. All we know is that this POX walker army needs to be held back for as long as possible to allow the evacuation to continue. Oh my, look at this insane deluge of death currently swarming over the poor old Imperial lines here, backing up as they can, trying to lay down as much covering fire as possible into these lines, and it is actually been somewhat effective at the moment. They are taking losses though in the process. 2,000 unfortunately have already been cut down. Look at this, the relentless tide of POX walkers just comes streaming in here. Oh my, there are so many of them. The Imperial Guard now starting to get back to back. Of course, these are just the poor old Imperial conscripts. Couple of Lehman Russes here in the background as well to back them up. But as we get more and more closer to the center, that's where the heavy guns are, that's where the autocannons are, and that's where the Morbian Death Guard are. But as we can see so far at the moment, they are actually holding these lines. They are backpedaling just a little bit due to the, unending nature here that we have of the zombie horde. I'm going to call them zombies because it's just easier than POX walkers, so I do apologize in advance for anyone that's going to cringe. But the zombies essentially here making their way through any little gap that they find. Look at this, an entire flank here that was left exposed. The zombies exploiting that. Desperately, some Space Marines here coming to the aid. Chainsaws at the ready to hold that gap as the tide unendingly just swarms into the square. Oh my god. There are so many zombies surrounding the poor old Imperial Guard. This front line is just a wash of death at the moment. You can see the tanks trying to lay down as much covering fire as possible, but the Imperial Guard here are backed up against the wall, their guns glowing red hot as they try to lay down massive amounts of firepower here into the zombie horde, and with some effect it is actually holding the back. The flow is stemming ever so slightly here, being held back by the sheer weight of guns pointed at them, but look at that street in the background. Oh my, there is still plenty of POX walkers swarming into this area. The body piles are starting to escalate slowly but surely. You look at this, no matter where you look now, there is just death everywhere. 129,000 losses to the POX walker army so far. Look at this, trying to push down a tiny little alleyway that is currently guarded by, what, 5 tanks? Good luck with that. And over here, we've got another one, a tank in the alleyway. Along with I know these are actually Death Guard. There is no Morbian skin. Is it Morbian? Mobian? It might be Mobian, actually, now that I think about it. There is no Mobian skin in the game, unfortunately. So the closest one that I could find was the Death Corps of Krieg, who, honestly, are going to do a bang-up job here. Look at this. Fantastic stuff here. Now, I do realise that the Mobian 6th did turn traitor during the War of Tarsham here. But there are still remnants amongst the defenders here who are still loyal to the Emperor, holding out, proving their worth now. In fact, oh god, look at this. The floor is just completely littered with death. Absolutely fantastic stuff so far by the defenders, trying to plug, basically, by the looks of it, they're trying to hold all the main roads. You can see that we've got a couple of Space Marines here, making their way to the outer edge, no less. They're actually pushing out of the city. Insane. Oh, that is typical of a Space Marine, is it not? Take the war to the enemy. What defense? We do not know defense. I am a Black Templar. We take this war to the enemy. There's quite a few of them actually doing this at the moment, with the support of a couple of Lehman Russes and a couple of the conscripts, probably inspired by the presence of these Space Marines. Oh my, literally, these Space Marines are just holding the points all by themselves. The zombies swarming them. Meanwhile, the conscripts in the background just laying down as much covering fire as possible here. Let's go over to this side. Things look a bit more bleak over here. There's a lot more Space Marines over this side, and the bodies really are starting to pile up here quite heftily. That's because there's quite a bit of an access point here for the POX walkers to just constantly swarm in, and that is exactly what they are doing. Oh my days, that is a lot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we wanted a good old Hive siege, and that's exactly what we've got. This actually was largely inspired, believe it or not, because I'm guessing a few of you noticed the name HIVE TERTIUM. It's largely inspired by the Darktide lore, basically. And yeah, I've been playing a lot of Darktide, so this has influenced me massively. I just wish that we had some more Chaos variations in the game. That'd be really cool. So we could actually get a proper POX walker army going. But meanwhile, look at this body pile now. How many? This is like, what, 2 stories tall? That's pretty impressive so far. The tanks basically adding a lot of defense here. Their explosive rounds just sending the poor old POX walkers flying through the air. I don't know. Depends if you're a voter of chaos or not, whether you think the POX walkers are poor. Oh my gosh. I just can't get over, though, how much death there is over here. Yeah, that's one thing I don't really ever consider, actually, thinking about it in my videos, is that a lot of people might be fans of Chaos and actually just want the POX walkers to win. Though, judging from the comments, a lot of people are the fans of the Imperial Guard and seem to complain that they lose a lot. It's not my fault. It's based off lore battles, guys. It just so happens that with the limitations of maps and the mods available at the moment, so mainly the battles that I can cover tend to be ones that the Imperial Guard lose. It's an unfortunate set of circumstances. When we start getting more units in the game, I'll be able to start doing some of the larger sieges, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. Actually being able to cover some proper big old sieges here. Meanwhile, though, the deluge of death continues forward. There's so many piling up now. This is actually getting ridiculous. Maybe this will actually come detrimental to the defenders. If enough bodies pile up like this through all the access points, the center here should start filling up with blood bit by bit. I mean, no matter where I'm looking at the moment, the defenders are stalwartly holding off. Bodies are piling up en masse everywhere. But look at this. The tyranids swarming death of POX walkers, bringing their plague with them, just relentlessly surging forward. They don't care that it's Space Marines on the front line. It's a valiant, glorious death. Oh my god, that's absolutely insane. Look at that, 28 days later, eat your damn heart out. That is absolutely fantastic to look at. Meanwhile, though, over on the real lines over here, we can see the Mobian 6th, I don't know, I'm going to get corrected in the comments, I know. Someone's going to tell me how it should be pronounced here, but they are putting up a resolute defense here. The entire floor has just been carpeted with the dead of the Poxwalker zombie plague. This is actually kind of insane. I can't believe how much of the floor here is actually covered. Oh my god, and yet the death just keeps surging forward. Look at all these tanks here holding this line. I can see why there's a pile of dead here. Yeah, they're gonna have a tough time getting past all these tanks. There's what, like 10 tanks at least there defending this one pile of death. Oh my, look at this one. This poor old lorry here delivering goods of the Imperium has now been absolutely covered up. The Imperial Guard actually using the top of the lorry now as a platform to try and shoot over into the gigantic swarm, and we can see the blood is starting to flow in the streets here. Oh my. Can you feel the blood tonight? Look at this. We've got a tank inside of a building. That's actually genius by the Imperial Guard. I mean, I don't know how they got it up there. I'm not going to complain. Look at this. The bodies are piling up into the building as well. This is getting truly ridiculous now, ladies and gentlemen. There's still 3.3 million enemies remaining as well. There's 30,000 defenders here. They are holding out resolutely. Let's go have a look. Let's go find another. Oh my god, look at all these tanks. Okay, so we know where the bulk of the 300 tanks is. But to be fair, looking off into the distance there, they kind of need the support. Look at this as well. This is really cool. An auto gun on top of the building, just leveling fire down into the zombie horde. Oh, that is brilliant. Look at them go. Oh, that is just absolutely amazing to witness. This game does Warhammer some great justice, to be honest, because like never before have we seen combat on this scale in a video game, period. Like, Total War came close, but some of the largest battles in the Total War games, they're like 20 to 40,000 troops. Whereas here, we've got millions of enemies. It's just absolutely insane to watch. And the fact that these blood physics and the bodies all pile up, yeah, it's just so Warhammer. Though it does kind of make you wonder, like, does the lore actually work in some cases? Because we've made these Space Marines as powerful as they possibly could be. And in the lore of the, like, Warhammer, they technically, 50 of these guys should take on pretty much the entire swarm all by themselves. But in the game, in this game at least, realistically, it doesn't happen. That's why we have to use larger than average numbers. So that's why we've got so many Space Marines here, because that probably equals to about the 50 normal Space Marines that we would be using. Look at this though, having said that, these chaps are still, you know, pretty dang powerful for this game. They can take a hell of a beating, but when they are completely swarmed, they do tend to die pretty quick. But look at this. Let's get a bit more of an overhead view here. Let's see what's actually happening. Oh my god. The swarm now has pretty much completely enveloped everything. No matter which street you look at now, there is just blood and death. Though it does appear to be lighter in some areas. Look, you can see here, we've got a couple of Chaos Space Marines. We've got a couple of, oh god, I'm going to be shot as a traitor for that one. We've got a couple of Black Templars here who are actually surging forward and taking the fight to the enemy. The troops behind them rallying along with the tanks, laying down more covering fire. This alleyway here should be named the Dawn of Death, because look at this. So many of them are trying to make it down this one little alleyway, and it can basically be held by one Space Marine, let alone like the 5 that we've got here. The blood is really starting to flow. Oh my god, the bodies are really piling high. Look at that. Even in the distance, no matter where you look now, there is just death and destruction. The enemies constantly pushing forward here really need to try and gain some semblance of a foothold. Part of the problem that they've got is that the city has only got so much of an allowance to allow so many units through, and on parts of it they're not able to really get their weight behind their attacks, which the Space Marines are exploiting very, very quickly here. But as you can see, in places like this, they really are able to actually get their mass together, though it's not really helping them too much. It does look like most of the city has fallen now at this point. Oh my god, it is just literally this center area that we've got left. The poor old Imperial Guard here have been pushed quite far back. However, now that their numbers are all stacked up, they are making an epic last stand here, trying to give the evac teams as much time as possible to get as many of the HAB workers out of here. Oh my god, look at this, they've actually pushed up back the entire zombie horde here. Space Marines again, though, at the forefront of the charge, leading the way. One has to wonder what will happen when the Space Marine fall here. Will the Imperial Guard defenses simply be overwhelmed? Because look at this. This entire area is literally only being held back by Space Marines. I don't know if there's any Imperial Guard down here. Yes, there is, but it's a tiny amount, and they're currently holding off here. Yeah, okay, this is getting very perilous now for the defenders, actually, looking at this. If this line falters over here, which, unfortunately, it looks like it's starting to happen bit by bit, and look at the tide of death these Space Marines are actually holding back here. This could be a really bad thing for the poor old Imperial Guard. Now, they have got units over here defending these areas, but like I said, I don't know how much of this is actually down to the Imperial Guard here now. They've got 29,000 defenders remaining still. They have still got a fair old number. There is 2.8 million attackers though still. Let's go scooch around and see what we can see over here. Is there any support available? So that there is the line that we were just looking at. That will get outflanked. Over here, it's a much better story. Tanks at the front, plenty of troops behind them, holding out against the tide. And again, look at this. We're actually almost getting up to the rooftops. I don't know what's going on here. We appear to have some Imperial Guards with grappling technology who are deciding to hook on to the side of the building away from the swarm. Cannot blame them. A genius idea, if you ask me. Oh my god, how many have died over here? Look at that. This alleyway that we were looking at earlier with the tank inside the building really has become like the POX walkers really want to get to that tank up there, and they're doing it by mounting up their dead. Yet again though, Space Marines holding them back. This is becoming a desperate struggle for the defenders bit by bit. Look at this, the tank buried almost in blood completely. This is actually quite a strong defense point here though. Oh my god, 777,000 kills to the defender. 28,000 of the remaining. How long are they going to hold out for though? That is the true question here now. These guys have actually pushed to the outer edge of the hive, literally taking the fight to the enemy over here. I mean, I don't know how wise that is because that really spreads out the defense a little bit thin. But they are actually doing it. Look at this. The Space Marines over here now have actually got support. They're still holding out. This is turning into a bit more of an offensive maneuver here by the defenders. I suppose this gives more room for vehicles to land and evac the beleaguered citizens of this poor old hive. Again, though, how much of this is down to the Space Marines here? When the Space Marines falter, are the POX walkers just going to swarm over the defenders? It is a question that can only be answered by time here, as we're going to hit a very quick time-lapse camera. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and it looks like, unfortunately for the defenders here, there's been a breach on one of their flanks. Going over here, over the amount of bodies, look at this. Finally, the Imperials on this side have fallen, and now The surge of death continues into the main center. Only a few ragtag remnants here of the Imperial Guard desperately trying to hold back this now insatiable tide of death that is flowing over them. Having said that, look at this. The tide is stemming somewhat. The defenders so far have managed to kill almost 1.4 million. Look at this. Oh my god. Yeah, that's absolutely insane. This is an insane body pile here that the defenders have built. No, it's supposed this is acting now as a barricade. Look at all this. The zombies, the POX walkers here, just piling over it. The death ensues. Oh my god. Look at all these bodies that are just strewn all over the floor. Some of them piled up almost as high as the buildings. Desperate line of defense here coming out from the defenders. You can see the autocannon here working overtime, desperately trying to defend the location. Oh my god, look at this. That's absolutely horrific, but also amazing at the same time here. The defenders are holding out resolutely so far. The body piles are getting quite insane over here. Look at this. The entire horde over this side has almost been wiped out. Oh my god. In fact, the only thing that's coming over here now are the remnants from the other side. This is an absolutely insane advantage for the defenders. Look at this. A legion of space marines just pushing forward, slicing and dicing their entire way through the POX walkers. It appears that chaos has finally met its match here, ladies and gentlemen. The chainsaws of the righteous emperor revving up and slicing their opponents in the thousands, quite literally. Oh my days, this is an amazing push here by the Astartes. Fantastic work by the defenders. The Lehman Russies providing invaluable support here for the good old conscripts and the Mobian 6th. Look at this, yet another sally forth by the Space Marines. Like I said earlier though, one has to wonder what happens when the Space Marines falter. Will the entire front line collapse? Because they've done a damn good job so far of actually pushing out to the outer edges of the city. They've actually cleared up the entirety of the center now, forcing back the entirety of the army. This is insane. Look at this. What the hell is this body pile? Oh my god. Literally piled up to the roof. That is insanity here. I don't think I've actually seen a body pile this high in quite a while. I mean, that is just damn impressive. But it does look like, though, that the horde has been stemmed somewhat. How are we doing over here on this side? Okay, yeah, body piles, yet again, just no matter where we look, are just ridiculously large. Look at this, the defenders standing at the top, just smiting their enemies. Oh, this is absolutely fantastic defense here. We can see, though, the autocannon here is slowly getting overwhelmed. The wave of death, there's just too many of them. Even though that these autocannon rounds literally rip through, I think it's like 50 enemies it can travel through in one shot. So yeah, they really do lay down a lot of firepower here. But no matter how much they're laying down, look at this. They just keep surging forward. Oh, I'm almost actually speechless here now. Let's go have a look. Let's go hunt down some more big body piles. I saw one over there then, but we'll... Oh my god. That is absolutely biggest. I think that is the biggest one, yeah. That is massive. And the other one over the other side looked taller, but this is wider. This has definitely got more bodies in it. Look at this, a lone space marine at the top here, completely surrounded by POX walkers, chainsaw revving, smiting down his enemies. Let's have a look over here. So actually, it looks like this is a bit more of a sally forth. This is recent action here. Yeah, because look at these body piles back here. Where was the alleyway? This was the alleyway that we were looking at earlier. Did they manage to kill the tank up here? I think they did. I think this was the tank that was at the top. I think they actually managed to get it. That's a little bit unfortunate. But in vengeance, they have managed to push forth. I'm actually gobsmacked at how the Imperial Guard here have managed to push back the enemies. There's only 20,000 defenders left here. But this flank is looking a little bit worse for wear now, though. Yeah, there's a lot of them swarming into this area. How are we doing over this side? The insane body pilers. Oh my god, I cannot believe this. Yeah, okay. I said earlier that was the biggest. This is definitely the biggest body pile that we've got here. By far, that is stupendous. The defenders here have actually managed to level it out somewhat as well. That's kind of impressive, I've got to say. They are taking losses, but very, very few. The defenders have managed to hold out so far. Plenty of civilians have been evacuated, and bit by bit now, they can start evacuating their troops, should they choose to, because, I mean, this side of the battlefield has been cleared out, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'll say cleared out. There's a bit of a clean-up operation to do afterwards, but largely, this has been held back. I'm actually genuinely shocked at the moment. All thanks to, like I said though, all thanks to the Space Marines, who in their relentless assault on victory here have just been mashing their way through the poor old POX walkers. However, this flanker is faltering now, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. Okay, things are still getting spicy here for the defenders. There's still things faltering. Look at this, more Space Marines that were over this side. They have now faltered as well. There's only a few left over here. Perhaps this might be the turning point. Is this the point where the defenders start getting forced back to the center? Like I said, they've done a bang-up job at this point. Oh my god, this flank over here. This is what we need to watch out for. I think this could become very disastrous very quickly over here. Let's have a look, see what happens. Because these Space Marines now are pretty much cut off from everyone. There is a few Imperial Guard over here laying down a little bit of covering fire, but yeah, I think they might end up getting cut off pretty quickly. We can see we've still got a few Morbians, whatever they're called, trying to push up and support them there. A few of them holding in this area here, making sure that no more push through the flank. Look at that! Oh, I love that body pile over there. That is absolutely magnificent. Though I must say, it kind of feels like now that most of the zombie horde has been stemmed. A lot of it now is stuck on the outer edges over here. A lot of the flank has been secured. Let's get a bit more of an overhead, see if we can actually see what's going on. So yeah, we can see that these little pockets of resistance on this side, but as far as the northern side of the battlefield over here, that's pretty clear now. That is going to allow the defenders to focus a lot more firepower on trying to sweep round and actually maybe even clearing up both of these angles. But, as always, ladies and gentlemen, only time is going to tell whether the defenders will be able to hold out, because there is still 1 million attackers remaining here. Oh my, it is all to play for at this point. As we can see, though, the Space Marines in areas are really the ones holding back the tide of death. This area over here, I know the camera's shooting around a lot at the moment, so that's because I'm trying to get a bit more of an overview, but we can see over this area here. Actually, to be fair, these guys held the ground. I was going to say over here, they were getting pushed back quite heartily, but yeah, they've actually held the ground now and are considerably making advances on the enemy flank. That is absolutely fantastic here. Let's go have a look. How are we doing over this side with the Space Marine assault? Has it received any support yet? Not really. The defenders here, there's only a few of them, but it's just enough to hold back this swamp for now. Let's go have a look. Scoot over here, over all the insane body piles. Oh my. Yeah, so this angle of attack over here, this is still very much underway. There is no support over here. As you can see, the zombies just basically free roam of this side of the city. They are meeting heavy resistance, though, as they do come into this area in the form of the Space Marines. Like I said, I'm really interested to see how long these Space Marines actually hold out for. And if they do hold out, then basically I think the POX walkers are dead. If the Space Marines falter, it's going to become a desperate struggle for survival in the center, especially with all these bodies now piled up, which creates plenty of access points for the POX walkers to keep on pushing through. How are we doing over here? How many of these guys are actually remaining? It looks like pretty much all of them are remaining. They are, like I said, getting a little bit of support from a couple of tanks and things like that. However, bit by bit, the POX walkers are making their way over to this side here. Plenty of guardsmen still remain resolute, standing by just in case. What I think we're going to do, though, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, I think maybe, where can we go? We're going to hit another time-lapse camera because this has still got a little bit of combat to go through, yeah. I think we'll actually go and watch... no, let's go over here. Let's see what happens over here because things are happening, actually. Look at this. We were going to go to a time-lapse camera, but there has been a falter in the line. POX walkers are now swarming down the center here. We can see we've got a couple of Imperial Guard stuck up here on the rooftop. I don't know if they're going to be any use. But yeah, it appears that there's been a break in the line over here. And now they are just surging all over. Oh my god. This could be devastating over here. Look at this. They're going to go right into this flank over here. That is a lot of them. Okay, yeah, and there's not really many defenders actually here to defend this area. This is going to get quite spicy. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is we are going to hit a time-lapse camera. Where is the front line? Over here. Oh god, it is faltering really badly. We are going to hit a time-lapse camera very, very quickly and see what happens here. Because, actually, we might not even need a time-lapse camera. Oh my god, this is getting a bit insane. Okay. I think the Space Marine... Oh god, the camera. I think the Space Marines have actually faltered. I think that's what has happened here. This is the result of the Space Marines finally faltering. There is a massive amount of death going on at the moment. The Imperial Guard's losses are really starting to mount up, actually. Oh my god, the entire flank has collapsed. Let's have a look. Yeah, I can see pretty much zombies swarming all around this area now. Yeah. Okay, so there's basically what I think is going to end up happening here is we're going to get a few pockets of resistance. I think the center is actually going to fall, and we're going to end up with, like, this weird little outer shape here of resistance. This is a perilous situation currently for the Imperial Guard. Okay. Let's see. Let's go over here because I don't know where to even look anymore now. The zombies are just swarming over every inch of this. Look at this. They've actually been cornered over here. These chaps are pretty much dead. Look. POX swarmers coming in from the other side. There is a tank or two over here trying to lay down some covering fire, but it's just not going to be enough. Holy bejesus. The collapse in the line here has been rapid. Okay, yeah. I really don't know what to say about this. This is going to be hard for the Imperial Guard to hold now. Look, they're getting attacked in the rear and all sorts over here. I think this is going to be one of the main pockets of resistance. So we are going to hit a quick time-lapse camera and see if these guys manage to hold out and if they actually do get attacked in the flank. We'll be back in a second. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I think it is now official. The collapse of the rear line is complete here. POX walkers are now swarming over every inch. Let's go have a look. How did the Space Marines get on over here? Well, they created an insane body pile, but it does look like they eventually fell. Look at this. This entire line that they held so well before has now completely faltered. The few defenders here trying to get some semblance of another defense going, but it has been a little bit of a rollover on this side ever since that collapse there. Just look at them. They're swarming in their thousands now. I don't even know where the main body of troops is anymore. I think we've literally got just ragtag bits of troops just all over the place, and they are literally getting swarmed as we speak. Look at this. There's hardly any of them left. There's 10,000 defenders remaining. Yeah, I don't think this is looking good for the evac for the soldiers here. Though I will say this, they've done a remarkable job of actually holding out and getting all the civilians out of Tertium. So, you know what? It's not been a complete failure here. Like I said, I don't even know where the biggest group of them is anymore. We'll just go back over here where we can actually find some of them. So, far from defeat, they have actually already won this battle by holding out for this long against an overwhelming amount of enemies, ladies and gentlemen. Their names shall be remembered. Oh my god. The poor old zombie, the poor old Imperial Guard here. Look at their city. Look at how many bodies litter every inch of this. No matter where I'm looking at the moment, there's just corpses of the enemies just littered all over the place. I mean, look at it. Would you even want this to keep this city after this level of destruction? Oh my god. No, So there you look. The dead are mounted up. I mean, it's quite interesting what actually happened on this flank. Oh, look at this. It looks like this is where most of the army actually is then. They actually pushed around the flank here, out into the open, which is probably actually better for them. And this is where the Space Marines are as well. Look at that. Okay, so there is hope yet for the defenders, ladies and gentlemen. There's still a hell of a lot of Space Marines here, and they're holding this area here. They've still got a bunch of tanks. Okay, we've found where the defenders are. The defenders are currently on the flank on the offensive. Can't blame them, you know what I mean? It's been a very effective tactic by the looks of it. They've been holding this area for quite a while. But there is only 8,000 of them remaining here. It is unfortunate for them. But I actually do think that they've got a pretty good chance of holding out in this area here. Look at this. They're actually pouring some forces back over in. Well, they were moving just a second ago. But yeah, these chaps were actually going back into the city then to help with the defense. Like I said, I'm actually kind of surprised that they have still got so many troops left. It's just that they're all now on the outside of the city. Yeah, this is definitely the main front line then for them now. Okay, well, this is very interesting turn of events. It looks like they've realized that holding the city center was not going to be an option for them, preferring the open terrain where they can just level their guns at the massive swarm is what they've chosen to do. And like I said, it's been a very effective tactic for them so far. They've only got 500,000 of them remaining, and it is pretty much all this ragtag bunch over here. This has turned into a brutal fight for survival. And they are holding out. I'm going to say they're holding out. They're doing it bit by bit. I'm actually amazed here. Oh my god. Come on, defenders. I'm actually rooting for you at this point. Normally, I don't root for the defenders because it's normally quite easy for them. And I always just prefer defenders to get overwhelmed and swarmed and killed. It is a little preference of mine. I don't know why. There's just something satisfying about it. Mainly because that's how you achieve the most insane death piles. But look at this. They are actually holding out, and I am rooting for the Imperial Guard now because they have been working wonders on this flank over here. Their tanks are just laying out shell after shell. The Space Marines here standing side by side, cleaving through the POX Walker horde with unyielding resolve. And yet, they've let the city fall, but they also haven't. It's a weird combination here. Like I said, they completed their objective of managing to get the evac out, and now it's just a matter of who wins the final engagement here. Is there going to be enough poxwalkers to finally succumb to make the Imperial Guards succumb to the plague? Or will the Imperial Guards' flanking maneuver here succeed? Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to hit another time lapse. Why? Because this has been going on for about an hour and 30 minutes now. So, yeah, the battle draws out quite a bit. So, we're going to hit another time lapse. As we can see, the flank over here is looking a bit tasty. We'll be back in a moment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, would you look at that? They actually managed to secure this location. The tanks pushing up here with the good old Space Marines have actually managed to thin out the entire horde on this side. I am genuinely impressed with the defenders here today, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. Yes, the center of the city may have fallen, but they took the fight to the enemy and have pretty much eradicated the entirety of the horde now. There's hardly any of them left. But they have called in for, of course, the finest support available on the planet, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, the Exterminatus begins. That's the only way to get rid of the Nurgle plague. I do hope you had a blast. I know I did. Please do come and like, subscribe, all that good stuff. A massive shout out to all our channel members who help to keep this channel going. And if you're not a channel member, why the heck not? Click the join button below. And as a reward for being a channel member, your bonus content is now available, so go ahead and check that out. And if you're after some short stories or maybe some merch, go ahead and check out the website. Links are in the description. With all that being said, as always, until next time, peace.